Hi everyone, welcome to virtualbrigade.com. In the previous video we have discussed about how to create the logical switches, how do you connect your virtual machines to the logical switches, and we have discussed about the broadcast, unicast and multicast replication modes, and we have also discussed about the switching profile. In this particular video I'll discuss how do you validate and verify the logical switches from the command line. We are going to validate the logical switches status and the logical switch port status from the ESXi host and the KVM host via the command line. So in order to get the logical switch status from the ESXi host, you first need to log into the ESXi host as a root admin, and then you need to execute the NSXCLI command. So this will get you into the NSXCLI, wherein you can manage all the NSX related objects. So once you enter the ESXi host with your NSXCLI, you can execute get logical, and then you can tab it. So once you hit the tab key, you will find the command options, wherein you can find the logical router information. If you want to get the logical router information from the ESXi, you can simply type get logical router and then hit enter. It will show the logical routers that are configured on the ESXi host. If you hit enter the logical switch, it will show the logical switch information on the ESXi host. So when you type the logical switch, there are three options available: the logical switch port, and the logical switches. So if you type the logical switches and hit enter, it will show the logical switches that are configured on this ESXi host. If you want to get the specific information about the logical switch, you can type get logical switch and then type the VNI associated with the logical switch. So we have two VNIs, two logical switches, 39816 and 39817. From the get logical switches output, you can see we have two logical switches, 39816, 39817, configured on the distributed virtual switch, which is our host switch called overlay, and we have the virtual interfaces. And from the logical switch UUID, you can get the logical switches UUID with the get logical switches command. If you want to get the specific information about the logical switch, so let me go ahead and type the tab key to see the command options. So when you hit enter after the get logical switch, these are the possible commands that you can execute. Get logical switch, you can either specify the logical switch ID or the VNI number, and then you can type the ARP table command to show the ARP table of that particular logical switch. If you want to get the MAC address table of the logical switch, you can execute get logical switch ID and the MAC table. And if you want to get the VTEP table of that logical switch, it will show you need to specify the ID of the logical switch and the VTEP table. So let me go ahead and execute this particular command. So get logical switch and the VNI number of the logical switch, and let me type the MAC table. So once I hit enter, so this will show me the MAC table on that particular logical switch. So when you hit enter, you will see the inner MAC address. This is the MAC address of my virtual machine, and outer MAC, which is the MAC address of my physical network adapter of the ESXi host. And what is the outer IP address? So which is my tunnel endpoint IP address, which is my ESXi host TEP device IP address. So here you can see we have two virtual machines running on this ESXi host. So that is why you are able to see two MAC addresses of the virtual machines and two different transport nodes. And what is the IP address of your other transport node? So this particular logical switch is configured and running on two different transport node. And the local LCP local entry, you can see the inner MAC address and the outer MAC address and the outer IP address. So this way you can get the MAC address table of the logical switch. So let me go ahead and execute get logical switch and the VNI 39816. And what are the possible commands? We have the ARP table. Let me go ahead and execute the ARP table and hit enter. So this will show me the ARP table of this VNI. There is no entries available. If I want to get the VTEP device information, I will type get logical switch 39816 and then VTEP table. So this will show me the VTEP table of my logical switch. So you can see the label, the VTEP IP, which is your tunnel endpoint IP address, the segment ID, the network, and whether it is a MTEP or yes or no, and the VTEP MAC address. This is your physical network MAC address, and the BFD count. And likewise you can see the LCP remote entry details, wherein you can see the VTEP information, the segment ID, and the VTEP MAC address, the device name. And in the local entry, LCP local entry, you can see your VTEP device name, the segment ID, and the VTEP MAC. So this way you can validate the configuration from the NSXi host. So what we have learned, in order to get the logical switches, you need to execute get logical switches. So this will show me the logical switches configured on the NSXi host. If I want to get the specific logical switch configuration, I will type the get logical switch followed by the VTEP, the VNI number, the virtual network identifier, and then I can execute ARP table, or I can execute a MAC table, and I can also execute the VTEP table command. So this will show me the configuration of this particular NSXi host. So this configuration is available across all the transport nodes that are configured in the transport zone. So let me connect to my KVM host, wherein I can show you how to get the information from the KVM command line. So to get into the NSXCLI prompt on the KVM host, this is the command that you have to execute. And if you don't remember the absolute path of this particular command, you can always use the find /name NSXCLI. So this will give me the this will find me the command, the NSXCLI command. Once you hit enter, you will get into the NSXCLI command line on the KVM host. So to get the logical switches, I need to execute the get logical switches and then hit enter. So this will give me the logical switches configuration. And let me go ahead and execute the same command on my other KVM host. So I'm going to connect to the KVM host. I have executed /opt/vmware/nsxcli/bin scripts nsxcli. Once you hit enter, you will get into the NSXCLI command line, and you can execute get logical switches. So this will give me the logical switches that are configured on the KVM node. So there is a difference in the way that the command line output is shown from the NSXi host to the KVM host. Here you can see the VNI 39818. This could be my virtual machine, database virtual machine, and this VNI 39816 is the VNI for our logical for our web VM, which is running on this transport node. And to get the VNI specific information, I can execute get logical switch followed by the VNI ID, and then I can type MAC table. So this will give me the MAC table, and let me type the ARP table. So this will give me the ARP table, and let me type the VTEP, and the VTEP information, you can see it on the command line output. So this is how you can verify the logical switches from the NSXCLI command line on your NSXi host and on the KVM host. So that is all I have now for the switching part of how to in this particular video we have discussed about how to validate the logical switches configured on the transport node. So to get into the NSXCLI on the ESXi, we need to execute the NSXCLI command line. And to get into the NSXCLI prompt on the KVM host, you can type this particular command which is highlighted on the screen. Once you get into this command line, you can execute get logical switches. This command line is consistent across all the transport node. Once you execute the NSXCLI and enter into the NSXCLI mode, all the commands are common across all the different types of transport node, be it a ESXi or be it a KVM running on Red Hat or be it a KVM running on Ubuntu host. Once you get into the NSXCLI prompt, you can execute get logical switches. This will give you the logical switches configuration. Not every logical switch is available just because we don't have any virtual machines connected to those logical switches. So that is one of the reasons you will not be able to find the other logical switches on the KVM01A host. So we have the database application virtual machine running, which is connected to the logical switch called DB tier logical switch with a VLAN ID 39818. So that is this is the switch UUID and MAC table. So there is no, though the MAC table is empty, the ARP table is empty, and the VTEP table, you can see we have the VTEP IP address, which is our tunnel endpoints IP address. So I hope you have enjoyed this particular video. Please do subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next video.